Welcome to the POMcast with Steve Willis, your independent, unbiased, and unbought source for Ole Miss athletics. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Wednesday of what was the Texas A&M week, November 18th, 2020. Thanks for joining us today. I am your host, Stephen Willis. This is the POMcast, Positively Ole Miss Network. And we got a lot in store. Now, there's a couple of big ticket news items to where Kermit Davis has come down with COVID. So he's having to isolate, hopefully, for the next, 19 days. And hopefully nothing comes from this. But, Ronnie Hamilton, I think, will handle the team while he is gone. That will likely bleed into basketball season, the start of it. So keep him in your prayers if you do that kind of thing. And the other is the Texas A&M has been postponed or canceled. We're not really sure at the moment. They're hoping to play the game on December 19th. Which could be an interesting lead-in for the championship game. And honestly, they'll have Alabama and Florida that day. They'll have Texas A&M. So the three SEC candidates for the playoffs will get one last chance to show their wares and if they're worthy to make it. Also, some of the biggest karma in the world. I got a text message yesterday that just said the asshole is assholing. And I looked over, and sure enough, there's this huge bit about how wearing masks is propaganda and that he hates the propaganda. If you wear this, we can play. And then minutes, if not hours later, Kermit Davis gets COVID. It's one of the biggest karma episodes in recent memory. So don't be like that. This obviously wasn't an election thing. It didn't go away on November 4th as promised. You can let all that go. Nobody's going to think anything bad about you. And just go out and wear a mask, period. They're projecting 2,000 deaths a day by Christmas. If the current trend holds, we're already having a 9/11 every 3 days, a Pearl Harbor every day. We're already doing that, and we've been doing that since March. Let's actually do things to get through this better. Because if you want 2021 to be not affected, we need to deal with the hurt now. And we can't take half measures. Because that's what we've been doing since March. Taking half measures. You can't do this, but you can do this. And you can do this. And the spread happens everywhere. Now, they're trying to flatten the curve, as you can see from the first episode when we actually did a lockdown for a couple of weeks. You can see the difference of what it is, but it's nowhere near where it is now. We're close to 200 cases per day. The infection rate's going up, the hospitalization rate is going up, and the deaths are ticking up as well. It's at the point where if you're not wearing a mask out in public, period. I don't care if you consider it virtue signaling or whatever you think of it is. You need to walk out of that house and wear a mask. Because when you wear a mask, if the other person wear a mask, the virus is less effective at transmitting. It's kind of like the analogy of two people peeing on each other. If you're not wearing pants and the other person is not wearing pants, both people get wet. If one person is wearing pants and the other person is not wearing pants, people get less wet. All the way down to both people wearing pants, neither person gets wet from the other. although you have wet pants, but you understand what I mean. We're not in a situation to where we can need to be political about this. And not doing so at this point is just pure stupidity and selfishness. Honestly, that's what it is. Selfishness is putting yourself above the person you're talking to. And if you go out and are doing the right thing, you need to treat every person like a biological weapon. Whether they are having symptoms or not, they could have the virus. That is a very real possibility, especially now. We have vaccines coming in April. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. All we have to do is behave like grown-ups to get there. And not kill hundreds of thousands of people. They're talking at this rate, at the rate we're on now, more people will die before the vaccine gets here and readily use in April than died of all of World War II. Think about that. 1 year of COVID wiped out 4 years of World War II, which was a catastrophe of loss of life that we go back and talk about to this day. I mean, it's insane. And all that people are asking you to do is wear a mask. There's no lockdown yet. I mean, in very dense areas like Detroit, they're shutting some things down because they need to, because people are dying. It doesn't matter if you're healthy. It matters that they're dying. And we're trying to stop more people from dying. And the fact that you want to be some kind of, I don't know, rebel, it doesn't make any sense. This is going to be a dark winter. This is going to be a very dark winter. I don't see how basketball season can be played right now. I just don't. Not unless we get this down and get this under control, which requires everybody wearing a mask. That's the one thing that every person needs to do. All right, Stephen Willis, POMcast. Come back for segment number 2. See you then.
Only 10% of us get enough daily exercise.
And that number is dropping.
Nearly 30% of us are overweight or obese.
We spend 6 hours a day in front of a screen. As a result, we now have a shorter life expectancy than our parents.
But give us the right start in sports, and we'll never stop.
Learn how at active4life.ca.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis from Positively Ole Miss. We're almost done with this break. We'll be back with good information quite soon.
The military has been in every generation of my family, and so has VA. It wasn't easy for my dad after Vietnam, but VA helped him and my mom get the home they'd always wanted. My grandpa's been coming to VA since World War II. They even helped him lay to rest one of his battle buddies from Normandy. And me, I followed in their footsteps and served with pride. And now that I'm out of the military, the GI Bill's helping me with school. Every generation of my family has served, and VA has served us all.
POMcast, welcome back, Stephen Willis. Glad you are here. This is basically going to be, for the rest of the show, probably a COVID episode and an LSU episode, because LSU's going through some things right now, and they deserve to be completely fornicated for their actions. They're about as close to Baylor as the SEC has ever gotten, and that shouldn't be forgotten. Then you mix in with stealing from a children's cancer charity, a couple $100,000, and handing out $100 bills after the national championship game. You go back on the record, we can do that. The Statute of Liberty limitations hasn't passed. They paid Leo Lewis. That was announced during our thing. Basically, if they get the same level of punishment we did from the NCAA, they will get somewhere around a 20-year bowl ban. Now, we know that won't happen, but if we're talking same level of punishment, that's what it would roughly be, about a 20-year bowl ban. That's crazy to think, isn't it? That shows you how hard they hit Ole Miss. So what this is a chance to see what the NCAA will do to a blue blood that has covered up sexual assault and rape, that has stolen money from a children's cancer charity to pay for football players, that has been wiretapped by the FBI, to talking about the great deal that we did that's been estimated at about $150,000. Yeah. In a real world, they should be absolutely fornicated. Period. They did this to themselves. Hey, they got a national championship in football out of it and won everything that you can win. They had last season. Hope it was fun. Hope it was worth it. This season and what is going to come after it is going to be long. It's going to be slow. And you will not enjoy that. We know. Went through at Ole Miss a 5-year investigation where I think the total value of all the penalties was around $15,000. The total value of all the employees was about $15,000. One of the no-show jobs at LSU from Our Lady of the Lake, the children's cancer charity, was worth $200,000. Doesn't take much math to tell you theirs is much worse than ours. But if theirs is going to be even equitable to ours, which I'm expecting, I'm expecting at worst equal treatment. They've got to go through the 5-year investigation first, which this should be their first recruiting class that's affected. You know, everybody is printed off the Our Lady of the Lake stuff. Everybody is printed off the rape stuff. And good luck recruiting against that. You're going to see LSU go from a national brand that recruits everywhere to a brand that recruits mainly Louisiana. Why? Because Louisiana is the last one that's going to give up on you. If you look at Ole Miss, we got let's see. It started right after the Sugar Bowl. Is when we were notified. Now, they were investigating before, but the letter of investigation came like the Friday before signing day of 2016, in which Ole Miss was just absolutely rolling, ended up signing a top 10 class. That's the class that had AJ and DK and Greg Little and those guys. But what you don't know It also had like somebody like Shea Patterson and Deontay Anderson and Van Jefferson that as soon as this came out and they were allowed to transfer for the violations, they were gone. Deontay Anderson to Houston, Shea Patterson to Michigan, Van Jefferson to Florida. There's a receiver that went to Central Florida. There's a DP that went to Iowa State. I mean, it was a nice exodus of people that weren't born in the state of Mississippi. The people that were born in the state of Mississippi, like AJ and DK, actually stayed. But even then, you start shooting off highly ranked players through transfer. And the one-time transfer thing is going to come out this January. So just because you get them to sign the paperwork doesn't mean they have to stay. So if they get there and see that it was worse, which it will be, because everything they're sold right now by them is it's going to be rosy, it's not going to be rosy. And it's going to fall off. Well, what's going to happen then is once the notice of allegations comes in, now other schools have something to really recruit against. I mean, it's concrete. It's there. It doesn't matter what is really said because you can affect two classes in the period from where the NOA is there to the committee meeting, which is about, I think in Ole Miss's case, it was almost 2 years. But for theirs, let's just say a year. You can recruit that one class and the class after it off of that NOA and say whatever you want to say. Oh yeah, they're going to get the death penalty. You'll never play on TV. Stuff like that. And you can say that to sophomores and everybody else, and they can't consider them. So you take that environment, right? And then you add to it the transfers, which is going to make it worse, and the COVID situation where you can't see them face to face. Not until April 2021 at this point, and it will probably go 3 months or so past it. So I expect you won't be able to see them until next summer. What I'm trying to say is the penalty might seem like an equal penalty to us. But in reality, it's a neutron bomb going off in that program. People will tell you because they live in alternate realities and that's the acceptable thing now. I don't know how that works. You can ignore facts. You can say everything's going to be all right, but this one is going to be bad. It literally has a chance to be a neutron bomb in the middle of their program. And that's just for football. Basketball is going through this as well. What I'm saying is we're about to come into an era where baseball is the dominant sport at LSU. If there's been no problems with baseball, which is possible, honestly. That's what I want to say about LSU. Between what happened, which was 10 times worse than what Ole Miss got a 2-year bowl ban for, period, to the Baylor type stuff that proves lack of institutional control, which is a big one in this one. Lack of institutional control takes everything from a level 1-3 to a level 1-1. It basically just eliminates the low-end level 1s in mitigation in the penalty threshold. You're dealing with a minimum of a 1-year bowl ban. Probably 2. They stole from a children's cancer charity. We went over that and got caught. That's part of the public record thanks to the FBI. And they did it shamelessly. And probably they did it because the media that covers LSU is so beholden to their paycheck that they couldn't tell the actual story, and the bias that comes with money. You can see how dangerous it is. You can see what kind of coattails happens when people are so attached with their living to their job that the loss of access and information will actually cost them money and influence how a story is told. There's the bias. And that's the failure that is going on at LSU right now. The fear of the loss of access leading to a loss of income, influencing the story that is being told. It's going to be up to outside people to tell this story because of that very reason. Money is a terrible influence on the actual story that is happening, especially now in the age where anger gets you ratings, gets you subscribers. All right, coming back for segment 3, Stephen Willis, POMcast. Right after this.
You want to answer that, don't you? I bet it's just killing you seeing the soft glow just inches away. Someone wants to tell you something or ask you something. Oh, come on, answer it already! Just so we're clear, that wasn't my fault. Next time, ignore your inner voice. Don't text and drive. A message from Florida's trusted choice independent insurance agents.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis. I just want you to stick around a little longer. We're going to get back to the podcast right after these messages.
Tonight, nearly 40,000 veterans across the country are homeless. These men and women have pledged to serve our nation, and now we must serve them. Landlords across the country have helped make significant progress in reducing veteran homelessness by making housing available, but there is more that we can do to bring our veterans home. Visit www.va.gov/homeless to see how you can get involved. And if you are a veteran and you are experiencing homelessness, please call 877-4AID-VET. Thank you.
Welcome back to the POMcast right here on Positively Ole Miss Network. We forgot to do a little house cleaning earlier. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at @TheStephenWillis or at @OlePositively. Hit us up on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast. Of course, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel at Positively Ole Miss. Hit the bell for notifications. That'll let you know when we're streaming. That'll come in handy whenever we start doing it this spring. And, of course, you can hit us up on our Twitch channel. And it's all one word, Positively Ole Miss. What we want to do is never extort you for money. Never ask you to go to a second location and provide free information in order to build the fan base at Ole Miss. People are going to try and come at you because I won't report bad news. Go back to listen to how I hit Matt Corral after Arkansas and Auburn. I mean, it's fair, it's real, it's unbiased. And that's the benefit of not needing money from this. I'm not expecting it from you in order to tell you what is going on. I can give you fair and unvarnished information. There is no check where, will this story make money for me? And you'll never see me do that. It's ridiculous. I'll never ask you to go to a second location either. I'm not going to have a website. I'm not going to a subscription model. I'm in a position to do this for you. And through this business model that honestly everybody can't do, it's a very lucky thing that we can. I'm just happening to be in position to do this. We're going to provide access to people that want to follow Ole Miss sports and give them the truth of what's going on. Provide the facts of what's going on. You have a person with a resume that knows what he's talking about personally. You have a person that has the ability to get all the equipment to get all this up and running. And you have a person that has a number of friends that can expound on what he doesn't know. That's what I can offer. I'm not doing it at the moment now because honestly, this is practice for me talking for 30 minutes. As you know, I had a couple brain surgeries last year. I was on a ventilator, and because of that ventilator made it tough to talk, so I had to retrain myself. So that's what this process is. But I will never extort money from you and never ask you to go to a second location. It's okay if you don't like me. It's okay if you like me. We're going to be where you already are. Whether you go to Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or Twitch, all of those are options. So we'll be down in the palatial Central Florida studios starting, well, really next Friday. Although it won't be a show next Friday. I'll be traveling Thanksgiving and the day after. And then our first show from the palatial Central Florida studios will likely be the We've Got Notes after the Egg Bowl. So that's something we can look forward to. But we're going to put from there, it's going to take a little time, about $30,000 into equipment to do this right, to do this at a level that you have never seen. And it's just going to be a benefit and a plus for Ole Miss football. We're thinking about getting into the name, image, and likeness game. Having players coming on, hey, you're listening to Positively Ole Miss. That little chestnut. We're just considering where we are. And if we can do that, and we're going to get registered, and everything is going to be done by the books. There's going to be nothing that is, even shady at this point. But that's the plan. It's a big plan. And once we do this, we're going to get an intern to go to practice in Oxford. And they can report on what they're seeing. We're also going to try and use our equipment to produce podcasts for people. If you want a podcast and you want to take it to the next level, we are going to be available for you to do so. And we're not going to charge that much money because we're not about charging people a lot of money. We're not trying to make money. We've already made money. It's the reason we're able to do this. We view this like a charity. We're providing a service that otherwise is lost. The media going down the financial thing of cutting down the number of levels between money and the journalism has wrecked this country. And every football team in the SEC is going through the same thing. If you lose access, you lose your job. You lose your sponsor. You lose your money. So spend it how you will. Anyway, that's all for today. I've been Stephen Willis. This has been the POMcast. See you tomorrow.